position. So if Tunisia says, this is our position, you would find it's the position of Morocco, Egypt, and so on and so forth. But us in the region, when we say this is our position, the first country to disagree would be a country in our regional bloc. And that's a problem. So, whether we like it or we actually don't, the media space has become borderless. So you can silo yourself in your little enclave and feel very big and very powerful. Like I'm the president of my house, right? I'm very powerful in that house. You know, when I talk, the wife claps. And the kids obey. So I'm very powerful. But is that power meaningful? When we were in primary school, I think it was primary school, when we were taught that power is the ability to do something, right? Power is the ability to do something. It's a primary level definition, which we did in the early 80s. Some of us went to school a few decades ago. Now, if we do not have this power as a unified force, and we've got little power in our little countries, we are not going to progress as a region. So, if we have gaps in regulation, because if each of our countries has its own regulations, but there are certain areas where we will live, gray areas, or certain spaces where we will live, automatically that happens. What happens in those situations where there is gray areas in regulation? Arbitrage comes in. Whether we're dealing with the financial sector or the information sector. Once we have arbitrage in the region, it means the thing that we value so much, the thing that I was listening to throughout the afternoon, well, they were not using the word, but that's exactly what we were listening to. Media sovereignty falls away because something will creep in. Right now, we have streaming services coming into our different jurisdictions. For example, Showmax or Netflix. They come in there. I'm sure no country in here has banned those services. If there is such a country, please lift your hand. Raise your hand. Oh. And the way we deal with this problem, I'm calling it a problem, because we have a product that's coming into our jurisdictions where our citizens are leaving our national broadcasters and other broadcasters. They are leaving local content and they are going there and paying money. Maybe it's, I don't know, your package is $12, $13, whatever, $10, whatever you have. Each citizen is paying a month. That money is leaving the country. Most of your countries are not taxing that product. So they are just coming to take money and go. But because we are so fragmented in our little jurisdictions, I beg your pardon for that, we have no common position as a region to say this is how we deal with this menace. Therefore, everything that we're discussing here, and I hear a lot about local content quotas, it won't work. Because there is migration of audience from our national television to all those other platforms, which we are not regulating. Among you regulators, there are some who believe that OTT products cannot be regulated and we shouldn't regulate them at all. Well, in Zimbabwe, we put out a policy in May which says they have to be regulated. Now I'm asking, who is prepared to harmonize their regulations with ours? Are you? If you are not, this is where the problem starts. We have told you what we are thinking. Come and tell us what you are thinking as well. And we reach a common position. And I don't believe this can be done bilaterally. I don't think it's enough. Because bilaterally, for example, our Broadcasting Authority of Zimbabwe, our regulator here, they have an MOU with their counterparts in Botswana. And I believe they've got an MOU again with their counterparts in Namibia. But that's it. That's at bilateral level. You have with Malawi, do you? Vachakanyuka. Yeah. Do you see the effort that they are making? The effort they are making is to ensure that at least we can share products, because if the regulations are the same across, then there is no problem in sharing those products. But why are we doing this at bilateral level? Why are we not doing this at sub-regional level? Why? I think you'll give me an answer someday. I thank you.
The Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Publicity and Broadcasting Services. We are here for a unity of purpose. We have a very big market, and we come from very big countries for a very big purpose. He said that power is the ability to do something. We are at the Broadcasters Convention, where heads of broadcasting can do something, and that is power. Let's give him another round of applause. We're going to come through for another panel discussion with a lot of power. And the discussion is the new content strategy. I said before that I talk to a lot of kids in the morning. And this one is going to be talking about new audiences. My audience is the kids. And I realized something. They have a lot of influence with what we call a playlist, or what they want to, and they know what they want. So every day we will play. I don't know if it's in your house, but these days there's Huntrix. And Huntrix is South Korea. So when we talk about purpose, unity of purpose is Africa, I do believe as a broadcaster, it can happen when we unite as African broadcasters to our own African people. Ladies and gentlemen, the next panel will be talking about the new content strategy, originality, new audiences, and innovative formats. I'll let my colleague introduce our session and our moderator.
Are we still here? Are we still paying attention? I'm still to talk to my colleague to see if I can get you some goodies, but have faith. I'll see what I'll do. So for this session, we're going to have a panel discussion, and it will be led by the Chief Executive Officer of Seychelles Broadcasting Corporation, Berard Dupree. Let's give him a round of applause as he comes through.
Good afternoon, everybody. Contrary to what was said, I come from a very small country, but with a big purpose. And my purpose tonight is to convene the panel. And if I may, I'm not sure, but I will I have, I think, 6 or 7 panelists, so I will call their names, and then we can do introductions thereafter. So my first panelist is Mr. Davis Kabuse, Executive President, Sunbone Casting Holdings, Zambia. Welcome, Mr. Kabuse. The second panelist is Mr. Mlamuli Dlamini, CEO of Eswatini TV. Sorry, Prince, if I have not mentioned your name, pronounced your name correct. Welcome. Take a seat. Yes, please. I'll be guided. I'm not sure who's online. I have Isae Miko Miza, Regional Manager Francophone, Africa, Ubongo. We've met. Welcome. I have Menen Agegnehu, Country Manager and Sales Manager, Eastern Africa, SCS. Our lady was giving a very good presentation earlier. Welcome. I understand Mr. Moses Nyama is not present, is he? Okay. And do we have Kennedy Mambwe, CEO of KBN TV? Do we, Nonku? Okay, good. So we have a good panelist, enough panel to start the discussion. If I can start with introductions first, and we'll start with a good lady from Ethiopia to make your introduction and an initial statement on the subject matter, which is new content strategy, originality, new audiences, and innovative formats. Over to you, Miss.
Thank you. I think by now you have already know my name, but I have to repeat it. My name is Menen Agegnehu. I work for ACS Satellite Operator. I'm the sales manager for Eastern Africa and country manager for Ethiopia. Basically, my background is electrical engineering. I did my MBA in business administration, and I also took leadership program from Luxembourg. Before I joined ACS, I used to work for Ericsson mobile vendor, where I achieved a $400 million sales. In total, I have, thank you. In total, I have 70 years of experience in telecom as well as in the satellite industry, helping expanding the connectivity and also strengthening the broadcast industry in Africa, which I'm really passionate about. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. If we can move over along this side to the gentleman. Sorry, I'm struggling with names. Sorry, before we go, we do have another panelist. My apologies. We have Sepizo Chipakafiri, founder and CEO, Non-Associates Entertainment. Welcome, Madam. It's good that you can balance this panel as well with gender-wise. My apologies for missing you out. Please, let's continue with the introductions.
Okay. Is the Imicho Mnyiza. I'm the Francophone Africa Regional Manager at Ubongo. So Ubongo is a entertainment producer, and we produce cartoons to help children learn. So before I joined Ubongo, I was working in the publishing industry, also dealing with children's books publishing, reading the production process and distribution. That's me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mlamuli Dlamini. I am from the beautiful kingdom of Eswatini. I'm the CEO of Eswatini TV. This is a very interesting topic for me because I've been grappling with this, with this question a lot, primarily because, I've been 2 years on the job and quickly realized that content is very expensive. And so it's very important that when you invest in content, you get it right? If you're not going to get it right all the time, but a couple of misses will definitely put you out of business. So I have a lot of, thoughts on this one, which I guess we'll just discuss as we go along.
Thank you, Mr. Damani.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know it's a graveyard shift, but please, you have not been buried. My name is Davis Kabuswe, Executive President, Sun Broadcasting Holdings Limited, which is a conglomerate of media based in Zambia. We have Sun TV, Sun Sports TV, Sun FM Radio, Konkola Radio, Ad Central, and News Daily, among other brands that fall under the conglomerate. This topic for me is something that I've lived by. And you will forgive me because I'll obviously be speaking from different angles, coming from both radio and TV and other platforms. So I'll be looking at the different angles, radio, TV, and other platforms as well. And we always live by, the saying that content is king, and if content is king, our platforms should be the castle in which that king lives. So we believe that in order for us to thrive, we obviously have to stand out. And that makes us, dwell or base our very existence on originality. So there'll be more that we're going to share, or I'm going to share with you as we continue with our discussions this afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Kabuse. I have to take a note on that because I know you relatively well. You're a person who travels a lot around Africa. And if any of subject matter is really dear to you, it's about this because you're out there searching, researching, collaborating. You even visited our small Seychelles, went on there, spoke about this. I know you're passionate about the subject matter, so look forward to hearing from you later on. And if I can go back, last but not least, to Ms. Pizzo. Sorry if I get your name wrong. Please introduce yourself and touch a bit on the subject matter. Thank you. Can we swap a microphone with, for now, please?
Okay, good afternoon. As they say, save the best for last. That's why I jumped on last. My name is Tshepiso Chikapapiri. I am from South Africa. I own a company called Known Associates Group of Companies. I started out as a producer. I now call myself a media entrepreneur. In my group, we own several companies, including Moonlighting Film Services, which is a servicing company that does all the big international productions that come and shoot across the African continent and South Africa. We also own Known Associates Entertainment, which is our local production and development company. So we develop our own original content and we co-produce with other partners. And we create and develop content that is not just hyper-local. I know earlier on someone said, Steven said he loves hyper-local. We also develop and produce content that is local but has international and global appeal. I also own Refinery, which is our post-production house. It's the biggest post-production house on the continent. We are servicing from Johannesburg and Cape Town. We also have a film fund known as the Known Associates Film and Television Fund. And this is a cash-flowing fund. And we are about to launch an equity fund, and we have a youth program. We currently employ about 120 full-time staff members, and happy to say just last year we created just over 10,600 jobs in the industry. And there's a reason I'm saying this is because as I sit with you here, my fellow broadcasters, I question why you keep asking me to pay to be on your channels when I'm already paying so much to create the content, but we'll get into that. Happy to be here.
Well, thank you very much. we look like we're going to have a lot to talk about. Unfortunately, still, I just want to put a caveat. Please keep the panel 40 minutes. So I'll keep that in mind, but we're keen to hear from you. But let's start with the particular subject matter, and if I may, originality, because this is let's define what we mean by originality today. I'll start with you, ma'am, because obviously you given a good account of what you do. What do we mean by this? When in a world of remix culture, AI-generated content, what does original truly mean?
I think for me, originality is more authenticity, stories that are truly relevant, that resonate with us and our audiences, stories that enable us to see ourselves on the screen. I think today, for me personally, every time I watch a film or a TV series and I don't see people that reflect me, reflect my history, reflect my currency, my future, I'm already turned off. I want to engage with content that resonates with who I am and the people that I interact with, and what also appeals to my 3 children.
Okay, thank you. Davis, I'll test you on this one, same question. What for you?
Thank you very much. For me, originality is being unique. Being able to create something out of nothing. And the weakness with AI, I always challenge my team. The weakness with AI is that it doesn't give you originality. Because something that, it's something that AI is going to give you, it's probably something that somebody else has done. So you have to create something from nowhere, something that nobody else has ever done. Originality is being able to crack a joke by just looking at the gentleman in front of me and I say, I like your white hair. When I grow up, I want to be like you. Just out of looking at him, I'm able to come up with something. That's originality. And I'll base my response to that on 2 words. One is convergence, the other one is divergence. Now, divergence makes you go in the opposite direction of where everyone else is going. For instance, from the radio side of things, like I said earlier, I'll be looking at radio, TV, and other platforms. From the radio side of things, I'll give an example back home of what radio stations have been doing. On a Thursday, for instance, most radio stations, call it Throwback Thursday. What did we do? Because we want to be different and original, we actually started that concept, but we stopped the Throwback Thursday and went to Wednesday and called it Flashback Wednesday. And then we put Big Hits Thursday on Thursdays. So it's different from what everyone else is doing. That makes you stand out. So instead of people, every radio station that you tune to, people are playing oldies, you're playing something else. You're playing big hits, and everybody's singing along to you. So that makes you stand out. Thank you.
Thank you. I think Sepiso has mentioned a word which I like, authentic. Authentic, and you have said as well in terms that makes you stand out. We're getting somewhere. From a public broadcaster standpoint, Mr. Damini, what are the challenges that you are, if any, that you are having to implement a content strategy that is original, that moves to new audiences, and innovative formats? If you can share your challenges around that subject matter. Thank you.
Thank you. How much time did you say we have again?
I think we have about 30 minutes left.
Because we're going to be here all day. There's a lot of challenges that that I face, especially as as a public broadcaster, as a Swatini TV. I think one of the big ones, very well articulated by the permanent secretary here, in the sense that, if in Eswatini, the population, I don't know if he was referring to Eswatini or there's other ones who are in a similar situation, but the population in Eswatini is 1.2 million, right? the economies of scale, really work against us, right? And when you look at the cost of making good quality productions, right, it just makes the math just is very challenging. It doesn't work out. So one of the strategies that we are, working on, looking into, actually embracing to address this challenge is to think global, right, and create these, I'll say, unique Swati stories or Eswatini stories that we believe will really resonate and give us an edge in the market globally, but create them for the for the rest of the world. So we are still working on trying to figure out how to break into those markets beyond our borders. But again, the permanent secretary touched on some key points that I think we all need to think about, right? In the sense that how do we align our policies so that it's easy to trade, or easier to trade the content among ourselves, right? And also create marketplaces that that we can all go to and be able to, I'll say trade content amongst ourselves. Because I say what's happening now, right? What's happening now is we've literally just left, I'll say, the market, right, wide open for, I'll say, for foreign content to just really come in and dominate, especially them leveraging the numbers that they have. So what I'm basically, in a nutshell, Berat, is we just need to find a way to broaden our market so that the economies of scale work in our favor. And then just tell our stories. I think that's the winning formula.
Thank you, Prince. I agree with you. And Seychelles as a small country as well, and we share the permanent secretary's thinking about the regional trade bid. For example, just use our example. We have 88,000 followers on Facebook for SBC, and 25% of them comes from Mauritius. They're not Seychellois, but they share the language. So we can see them following us, and we can see the engagement. And to speak bigger than us is a challenge. And from our point of view, is that for you to be able to speak, you have to be online. That is no doubt. We should not be even talking about whether we should stay in our own little corner. Like you said, we have to go online. Different broadcasters may have different strategy. We, SBC, have employed many strategies. We are on YouTube for 50,000 followers. We've launched our OTT platform last year. It's going to grow. And I was saying, when you look at the statistics, you're asking why somebody from Togo or Senegal subscribed to SBC Plus. You don't know, but maybe they have a reason. They are looking possibly for content. And therein lies the potential. Before we continue, there is a missing panel member, and that is Mr. Napoleon Niamni. If you can please come up to join us on the panel. Welcome, sir. And if I may ask our presenter on the other side to provide a microphone to the gentleman while he comes up. My dear lady, I think she's run out of microphone. But we'll cope. All right, we innovate in Africa, right? So welcome, sir. If you can introduce yourself and just a little bit of your insight on the subject matter, and then we can continue the discussion.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Napoleon Nyani. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the National Arts Council of Zimbabwe. I am a broadcaster and an arts administrator. I've been in broadcasting for a long time. Started off in radio, working for Zim Papers radio division, and then also worked with ZBC on TV as a television presenter. And now I work in arts administration. The National Arts Council of Zimbabwe is the body that is charged with arts promotion and development in this country. So we cover all the genres of arts, over 40 of them.
Excellent, very, very interesting. Welcome. I'll give you back your notes. Thank you. And if you can pass this down. We don't have time. There's so many topics to cover, but I would like to, I think it was last year that we got to see what Ubongo is doing with respect to children's format. this is your specific genre. So you found yourself a niche. So tell us a bit about your content strategy and whether it's going to expand beyond that, or you find that this is something that you can export to the wider Africa in terms of your content, overall content strategy based on the children's content.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Before you go to our content strategy, so I would like to say that even though we are part of the content creation ecosystem, so we don't define us as a content creators. We define us as creators of running experience, because our strategy model is a kind of a blend of education, entertainment, and engagement. So what we do, we accompany a child from when they are born, and then throughout their, let's say, growth journey. We have different studies that help them develop skills and the knowledge they need depending on the age range. So we start with a series called the Akil and Me. That one helps in like providing educational foundation. And then next step is another series which is called the Nuzo and Namia. And just from preparing those children from going to school, the next step is just to help them develop their comprehension skills and also supporting their cognitive growth. And then the third stage, which we use another series called the Ubongo Kids, it's now about helping them develop some of the key skills they need in their everyday life, as well as acquiring essential knowledge to make sure that they will be able to achieve their potential. Yes, for Akil and Nimi is for the children of 3 to 6 years old, and then Nuzo and Dinamia is from 6 to 9, and then Ubongo Kids is from 7 to 14 years old. So our uniqueness is based on that edutainment approach that aims at creating a comparing IP, and not just stop from there, but also try to deploy it strategically across platforms. So that's why we start by collaborating with broadcasters. So currently we work with over 100 broadcasters across Africa in 24 countries up to now. And besides the broadcasters, we also use digital tools just to ensure that we can go beyond the reach. Now we use digital tools to engage. So after reach, the next is engagement. We have our own platform called the Ubongo Playroom app, which is a kind of safe and child-friendly space where children can go to run, play games, just enjoy while they are running. And beyond the digital platforms, because we recognize the industry where we are operating, you know, on our continent, let's say the TV penetration, the smartphone penetration, and the other digital tools is not like at high level to be proud of. So that's why at the end we collaborate with other organizations like the grassroots organization, the government entities, and the other community-based learning centers to ensure that we are going to reach even those underserved children in the last mile. So those are like the three main platforms we collaborate to ensure that we are reaching a wide audience and make an impact.
Excellent. That's a very good example of a content strategy. You're finding your niche. If we may ask, you may not have to answer, how are you doing from a commercial standpoint? I mean, the idea, the execution, but in terms of, is it generating to the level that return on your investment, time, effort that you would expect, or you think there's growth in there? You may not have, it might be financially confidential. You don't have to answer, but giving us an idea to inspire us.
It's okay to say it. We have a kind of hybrid model. So our main return on investments is the impact. So that's why we even invest in measuring the impact. At the end of each year, we measure the impact to see what has been the running outcome for children who use our content regularly. So that's the main return of investment. Why? Because we realize that content is not something that you can rely on if you want to make money on our continent. And if you want to focus on making money, you are limiting the impact. So actually, the way we measure our impact is on the cost per child. So the more we reach many children, the more the cost decrease. So we aim at reaching too many children rather than making a lot of money. And we mobilize the funds instead of making money from our content. Even though we have We have like 3 types of contracts. One, there are those who are willing to buy a license, they pay, but those are very few. There are other ones who are willing to take our content and try to monetize them, then we share the revenues.
Yeah.
And there are other one who just want to help us achieve our main objective, which is to help children learn.
Excellent.
And then we give them a free license without the payment, but they show us the result. That's the impact.
This is very impressive. Thank you so much for that insight. We just to contrast a bit, Menen, I'm coming to you, based on your presentation earlier. Prince, Ethiopia doesn't have a problem with economies of scale. The figures I've seen you present this morning in the millions is a lot what other broadcasters will dream of. We go back to what's the platform?
Ethiosat.
Ethiosat. And you've mentioned that a major portion of the content on this platform is local.
Yes.
Give us a bit more insight, because this is fascinating for us just to get an understanding in terms of the strategy, in terms of the monetization. How does it work?
Okay, thank you for the question. Before we launch Ethiosat, broadcasters were looking for a dedicated satellite platform that they can feel it like a national bouquet. So ACS offered them the satellite position at 57 degrees east, bringing all the local channels together on one satellite platform. Before, they were broadcasting on a different satellite, which was not designed for Ethiopia, so that it was really difficult for the broadcasters also to reach their content towards their viewers. So, with a collaboration with the different stakeholders like the Media Authority, the Ethiopian Broadcast Corporation, and also the Ethiopian Space Science and Geospatial Institute, and also the private association of broadcasters, they unite together and launched this satellite platform. This is a free-to-air platform, which viewers are not expected to make any kind of subscription. They are expected to have a satellite dish and a set-top box at their house to access the 130 channels. When we start launching the Ethiosat platform, viewers, they were asking for international channels. Then a miracle happened, I can say, because after, the broadcasters, exercising the local content, they start competing each other, bringing local content towards their audience. Because the audience, they always look for authentic local voice. So broadcasters, they need to go beyond that to bring local content to this platform. So at that point, it started, progressing well. Producing different kind of local contents. There are some storytellings, and also they start investing on local investment. When you invest in local investment, you are unlocking creativity. You are opening a job for the people. You are also driving sustainable growth for the country. So with this, I think this is like a national pride and also the regional coverage. Right now, they feel like this platform can extend to the eastern part of Africa, and we can share, our culture towards the regional integration. By the way, it didn't happen overnight. We have also trained a lot of installers around the country. It's around 20,000 installers around Ethiopia to have the knowledge how to install those satellite dishes to point to our satellite position. So right now, we feel like we are giving the Ethiopian their culture, their identity, and their language as well, sharing it on one common screen.
That is a very impressive example in terms of access to content to a particular country. That is very impressive. Mr. Piso, you are, if I understand, a content producer and you bring content to broadcasters. Under this subject matter, originality, new audiences, and innovative formats, what advice would you give to broadcasters, those who you are saying, lamenting in a way that you have to pay them to put content on the platform, that aligns us better? What could you share with us as broadcasters that aligns us better to be able to collaborate better in bringing the content to the African public?
Thank you. I just think that the world has changed, and it doesn't exclude Africa. And I think that part of the issues around collaboration, and as the Secretary mentioned earlier, there's 16 countries around our region, about just over 400 million people. That means we can, within just our region, we don't even have to think about America. We don't have to think about the 300 million people in America where we might want to take our content. But that collaboration obviously needs environments that have regulation that enables easy collaboration. So for instance, like Mr. Dlamini said, his 1.2 million population is interested in Generations. They're still watching it. We do know that everyone is watching Mubango. We do know that the latest trend, as I'm seeing, is in South Africa, there's a channel called Movie Channel, which is adapting LA Hollywood films into Zulu. So, but what we understand about collaboration is that we are pretty much the same people. We pretty much enjoy the same food. We probably have a very similar sense of humor. We enjoy storytelling in the same way. We come from the same culture. So I think that the collaboration is already in place. You know, we are Bantu after all. But what needs to happen is that our governments need to talking to each other from a policy implementation point of view, and not just, because some of the policy is stagnant. So it doesn't allow the easy collaboration and sharing of content. And how that government gets to know that the policies are stagnant is that during lunch you need to sit with us and not sit in the VIP room, because we will update you and keep you informed. So that is very important. I think our government policies and government communication is important, and collaboration via government. And I'll give you an example. In South Africa, our industry speaks to 3 different ministries. So we speak to the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, we speak to the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, and we also speak to the Department of Communication. Just in our little country, the 3 are not talking. So I'm wondering about the other 16 countries and the various many ministries. So there needs to be a lot more communication within, between our governments, but also communication between our governments and us, the experts that are creating the content and are able to feed it into the broadcasters. And I'm going to finish this now. I think it's also very important to acknowledge that free-to-air is extremely important for South Africa, for Africa. And for some reason, there is a complacency that, you know, we don't have money, so we cannot really get content. We have to stop that. The conversation has to stop. No one is sitting. I do not expect anyone here who's a free-to-air broadcaster to come and offer me $1 million for any of my films. I get it. You know, SABC is broke. But at the same time, I do believe that there are conversations that we could have between you, broadcaster, and me, content creator, that do not necessarily require for us to change money, but find a way for me to get that content onto your platform, which will get advertisers interested in your platform, which will get you revenue, in which case we can both be winning.
Thank you very much for your insight. Mr. Nyani, you, from what I've understood, you've done quite a tour in that area from radio and television.
Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African
town of Victoria Falls. I'm now continuing the conversation with none other than our permanent secretary in the ministry, Honorable Nick Mangwana. No, in fact, it's permanent secretary Nick Mangwana.
Honorable actually, a lot of people have been saying that to me today.
Yes.
I'm going to look for a constituency.
Yeah. I like the vision, the mission, and everything that comes in.
Because it seems like I fit the bill so much. Also, I think there's so much integrity that people find me very honorable.
You see.
So therefore, I'm going to live the dream for them.
Definitely. So when you were presenting and talking to the delegates, you pointed to a number of issues. But I think I want to zero in on the conversation around regional integration and collaborations. We know that when great minds come together, there is good results that are produced. How best can Zimbabwe position itself with the advent of Saba and also the launch of the regional television station?
You see, hosting this is a very good starting point. Saba used to be based at ZBC, you know that?
Is it?
Yeah, it had offices, I think it still has, at ZBC at Pockets Hill. That shows that we were at the heart of the messaging of the region and the television's issue, the television vision. But we don't end there. You know, gamba story so. Kikasinga na vanhu. Isusu seZimbabwe takagara tazviona kudhara kuti our voice alone is not enough, or any single country in the region does not have enough voice. It's a whisper, kana ushora wega. Asi ukataura navamwe. So patakatanga linked reform paya. Handi takatanga kutukwa nekuitwa sei nananhingi vachituka vachitaura zvakawanda chete tatiri like mazuva iwayo tatinewo president vaituka futi bheki vaigona saka hataitukirirawo futi but pane patakazomboita decision yekuti no tikatuka tega kana kudzokorera tega kana kutaura our own messaging inonzi iri biased haina impact. So takabva ta vision yekuti ngatiitei newspaper re-region yese rinenge rine kuti every country is a shareholder. Ndo pakatanga idea yekuharmonize media. I think wakambonzwa nezvenewspaper rinonzi Southern Times.
Yes.
Ndo matangira rakaita. It was supposed to be a regional paper, rine buy-in from Malawi, Tanzania, Republic of Tanzania, and so on and so forth. Ipapo ndo futi pakatanga idea yekuti ko ne television. You know, patakaita cyclone dai. Vanhu vari kuNamibia kana kuZambia vaida kuziva kuti chii chaitika kuZimbabwe vaenda paCNN. Hazvifaniri kudero. Pese upo wanzwa vanhu vachitaura kuti let's speak our own story in our own voice and whatever. How voice redu ratangara news dzoeditwa kuAmerica disaster yaitika kuChimanimani muZimbabwe dzozouya kuZambia panext door. Imagine. But yet tatakamboita vision yechimwe chiplatform chinonzi Southern Eye. Chiplatform cheSouthern Eye ndikuzoda ndisukadisa mubvunzo wako handina basa nawo. Iwe une zvako zvawakaida kutavhunza indine zvangu zvanoda kutaura saka ndichataura zvandoda.
Tozodzoka kwane zvandabvunza.
Ndokunge tada kudzoka. Tinogona kutogara tako ikoko tovakamusha ikoko. Iwe unoda tiende ukakusiko kumusha. Anyway, tine platform inonzi Southern Eye.
Yes.
Southern Eye is a platform where each country in the region is supposed to upload news. So Zimbabwe upload every ZBC through ZBC all the news about Zimbabwe on there. Namibia, for example, you enda pa platform paya yoona news dzainoda kupublisha. You publisher news, you broadcaster news idzodzo. Isuwo toenda toona kuti Mozambique aisa chii chatinoda in terms of regional news to pick away papo and so on and so forth. All countries will do that. The problem yatiri kuita is avana havasi kuuploada news, havasi kupopulata. Imimiwo hamusi kudownloada. Do you get it? But you can see the visions are there. Problem iri pama implementation apa. Vision iri right, iri clear, mission iri clear. But pama apa. Ndiri kutofunga kuti izvezvi ndakakutarisa sorombi. Iwewe wanga usingazivi zvatiri kutaura zvese izvi. Dzotori news kwauri ka iwewe. Ndiri kutokupa news hauziye. Ndokubvunza mubvunzo izvezvi kana uchidaro. Tinochange maroles panapa. Ndikatanga kubvunza. Ndinoda kubvunza wakupindura. Natapa ndiri hot seat. Because akusikangonyepera. Unonyepera audience kai.
Ndinogona kumira.
Ndinogona kunyepera audience. Unyepera audience.
Ndinonyepera audience.
Last night maka-uploada chi?
Last night we uploaded the coming together in the making of the Saba convention.
Southern Eye.
Not by Southern Eye.
Ndikuti chamakapawo vamwe kuti vataure nezvedu. Handitati tinoda kutaura our own story in our own voice.
Yes.
So kana imagine kuti Mkoma Ruben Barwe vachibuda kuBotswana vachitaura our own story in that thunderous voice of his. Isn't it nice?
It is.
Pane kuti repackaged yokubuda ngatitaurei tega. iso ndakaona news anamboona news dzakabva muregion. So that is the vision. Then comes to now to address a part of your question. Part of your question address nokuti hapana one of our countries has a capacity to do what we want to do. But if we come together as a region, we can do a lot. And the other issue is, if we do these things, whether it's technology, develop technology, nobody, as individuals, we are duplicating my roles. Instead of putting one anaita icho. It's like having an assembly line.
Yes.
Then mese murungu gadzira one part. Mota yacho haipere. But kukati uyu ari kugadzira mavhiri, uyu ari kuisawo mabhaudhi, uyu ari kudai, imota painonopera kuassembly line inenge yafitwa. We can do that among the 16 countries. And we can do that among the 340 million people that are in this region. Ndo point hombe iyoyo. Yokuti you can imagine kuti region munomu, even in Africa, handisi kuziva inini social media platform yakagadzirwa namaAfricans. Handizi. But tikaenda kunana China vane WeChat yava ndeti. So I was saying earlier kuti ma-algorithms ayakagadzirwa kuti isusu tisaita mari ne-social media. So I've experimented on this and it's true. Ndikaisa content yangu on say TikTok, ndiri ku-Africa right now. Pandinonoenda, I mean, haiwane visibility, haiwane vanhu vanoitarisa, haipromote zvakanyanya. Ndikanaisa the same content ndiri ku-UK. That content will go far because there's a restricted visibility kuma-Africans and in this region for the same content. Saka kana uchida kumonetize content zvatiri isusu seministry tinogara chiti ZBC migrate and embrace technology and use these platforms to get data, monetize them. That's the problem. Yokuti nyango mukamonetize, toda to monetize. But amone mari zhinji. Tikangotora ZBC tikangochinja geolocation yayo. Tikaiendesa elsewhere. You can monetize. Kozoto ya issue chaicha vana TikTok vamwe. Kana ukada kumonetize uri kuZimbabwe, you won't monetize. So unofanira kunovhura account yako outside the country elsewhere. Woita izvozvo. Tichimboitirwei zvakadaro kuzvitiwa kuitwa ma-victims when we can do things our own. Surely, tikatora ma-scientists, ma-ICT specialists from across our continent or our region, pana angatadza kugadzira vakasanganisa musoro yese. Because ikono takuvara kana ma-PhD, Dr. Chakuti. Udokta wacho hausi kubuda in our spaces. Ngatiuone.
If you are to give a clarion call to Zimbabweans, to Africans within the SADC region, to the whole of Africa, what would you say would be the greatest step that we can start off with and hit hard to make sure that we are in the digital spaces?
Let's stop enjoying consumption, consuming the platforms and the products that we are getting from elsewhere. And we believe that the paragon of virtues, they are the standard and the whatever, the urim and thummim. No. Let's focus on developing our own things. Because right now, every technology that we get, we're paying. And money is leaving the continent for even silly things. And yet we remain with these caricatures that we have. Do you know, kuti kana ukatafyumu rako iwewe rema-Africans, rikabuda ma-Africans akaita seni variwo groomed chakuti are acceptable because that's not a typical African as far as they're concerned.
And that's not the narrative.
Ndo yavadi. But ukatora kamwana karapo kakatanga kupindwa nenhunzi mumino kacherera madziwa iyoyo vanotenga. Things that paint us in a very negative light. But tuvana tungani turi panapa turi kubuda madziwa turi kuerera. Is that a typical African? It's a rare. Ndiani anopindwa nenhunzi mumino panapa? Hapana. You know what I mean? Yes. But ukabudisa squalor ndo yavano accepta because it fits the narrative, it fits the stereotype. So therefore ndo pane issue yekuti technology yedu inoziva zvatiri, inobvuma kuti portray sezvatiri, than technology isinga. You know what? What happened one day was ndaida kuposta about vanhu vanofilma pama accidents. So I told AI to do graphics for me. An accident scene, pano vari kufilma. Ndotozenda pa platform yangu notarisa. Then they brought this thing. It was, I think, I looked at the background. It was the UK. Because papa ne double decker bus, red, ukukune phone booth, red, you know the typical London thing. So I then gave it feedback. They got to know, recite to Zimbabwe. You can go and try to do what I've just told you. They got to recite to Zimbabwe, setting no fanangere ku Zimbabwe. Then they gave me the graphics. It gave me the graphics. They were dirty people, people in torn clothes. I'm telling you the truth. If you go on my platform and check for the tweet, like as we post yakadaro. Pane vanhu vane tsvina vasina kugeza, pane zvimota zvakashakara. Ndo Zimbabwe iyoyo. Zimbabwe ine mota dzakasakara. muHarare. Munhu asingageza umo. muHarare. But ndo zvaikafidwa. Ndo zvaikandipa back. Do you see the biases? This is, even if we try to tell our own story in our own voice, if we are using their technology, we will face some cognitive biases already. Imomo are embedded in the technology itself, in the data that was used. That's why we are making that clarion call in the region that let's focus on research and development in our own space and come up with technology that fits our bill, that does exactly what we want and that portrays us as who we are. Because surely, pana wakambona achifamba ari pamusoro penzou here but ndo zvavanoda izvozvo. Ukaroverwa kasonga ke Lion King then uchidzingirirwa nebere, izvo unotengesa. But ukaroverwa ikakaya uri mulab uchiita this havadi. Do you get the basis?
Yes.
That was the basis of my presentation today.
I thank you so much, Permanent Secretary.
What
I want us to continue this conversation.
Saka wanondibvisa pana venchikuda zvepano. Uri wandibvisirei pana? Ndakubva right.
not give the mic away. We want to hear what's going on in Uganda. Let's clap hands for Patricia.
Thank you. I need the encouragement. In Uganda, we are in a political season. We have
Elections.
presidential campaigns and members of parliament and the whole bottom line. Yeah. So that's what's current.
I know you will not say much about that. Thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause. Can we have the last one, Kim?
Hello, my name is Colin. I'm from Seychelles.
Okay, what's going on in Seychelles?
Well, we just came out of an election as well. Our new president was inaugurated yesterday, and today we had the first Speaker of Assembly. That's a woman.
Wow.
And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Let's move it along. I'll, at this present moment, call upon Itumeleng Sigalo, the Chief Strategy and Transformation Officer of Centec, to give us a presentation. Itumeleng, if you exceed your time, you are buying the drinks. Be warned. Please give him a round of applause.
Falling apart.
Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services.
What is your favorite childhood memory? Let me start from there before we get into the nitty-gritty of all the other details.
Thanks, man. First of all, it's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me onto the show. I'm home. Yes, I'm from Zim. And born in 1973, so it was obviously Rhodesia at the time. And I left in 78, so 5. So, you know, that's a long time ago. You can see by my hairline. So now
Come
you're going to ask
on.
me about my favorite childhood memory. And I have to say that we would spend a lot of time at my grandmother's house. And behind my grandmother's house was then, I'm not sure what it's called today, but the Alex Baseball Club. And so my dad used to play baseball. And so one of my favorite things to do was when I knew his team was playing, was to climb through a hole in the fence, you know, out the back of my grandmother's property and go and watch my dad. And outside of that, I also remember, if I was a good boy, on every Saturday, we would walk across the road to a little shop and we would buy a little Matchbox car. That was my reward for the week. And I think at the time it was $1 Zim for a Matchbox car. So I'm really showing my age now. But you know, there's just something about, even though I was 5 when we left, there's always something about coming home to where your roots were. And I had the benefit of 2 or 3 weeks ago spending 10 days in Zimbabwe, actually staying with a Zimbabwe family, and just kind of living life as if I was here as an adult, and my kids were with me. And you know, I've traveled around the world, but Zimbabwe has a warmth about it. And when they say that we are a hospitable nation, that our people, despite the challenges that we've had as a country, we survivors. We find a way, we adapt, but we do it with no resilience, you know, and the glass is always half full, not half empty. So I love Zimbabwe, I love coming home. South Africa is very much my home as well, because I was raised, you know, from 5 in that country all the way up until I went to compete in the UK at 19. So both are very important to me. Africa is important to me, but it's always special to be here.
Okay. There are two things that I picked up. So Zimbabwe and South Africa are both home, and you also spoke of adaptability, adapting to situation and circumstances. And I want to speak of these two countries with regards to digital space development. South Africa is a little bit advanced than Zimbabwe, but what are some of the gaps that Zimbabwe can address, given that you have experienced and worked with the South African trajectory?
I think that South Africa may be a little more advanced because they have greater access to expertise and resources. But that doesn't necessarily mean they've done it right. And I think what Zimbabwe has the benefit of doing is, most importantly, not making the mistakes that South Africa has made, or, you know, first to market players have made. This is no longer a case, particularly in the broadcast space, and we're sitting here today, you know, we've been on TV, there's radio, of a digital transformation trajectory. You have to transform. You have to adapt. If you don't, you will die. You will be irrelevant. The consumer has moved on. And so if you go back to the history of broadcast, you know, we started distributing through analog, medium wave, and FM frequencies, and then obviously satellite and direct to home. A lot of mistakes made by people trying to go DTT, not fully assessing the cost, delayed implementations. But today the consumers are consuming content on their phones. The mobile phone is no longer considered the second device. It is the primary device, particularly for the youth, which is the future of the economy. And so if you cannot meet the audience where they're at with your content, you will be a dying dinosaur. And every trend in the world speaks to that. In America this year, in June, was a critical milestone. Streaming overtook traditional television in terms of content delivery. Cable, DTA, you name it, satellite. Streaming was number 1. And of those streaming services, the highest market share was a free streaming service. So when I look at Africa and you look at all of this, you go, okay, well, mobile's the first device. 9:16 content is overtaking 16:9 content. Short form content is consumed considerably higher now than long form content, particularly amongst the youth across the social platforms. and you're still stuck in a linear delivery, expecting your audience to be on the couch at the time that you want to start the program, man, you're on Noah's Ark. And so it might take a little longer, and I'm not saying linear is dead, but broadcasters have to be in the OTT space. That means they have to relook at the models. I'm of the view that subscription video on demand in Africa doesn't work, and I've spent 10 years, 1 decade working with people who've tried. We're allergic to paying for content in Africa. We feel like we
We're
don't have
allergic
to.
to paying.
Yeah, we've been conditioned on free to air, and we're very happy to consume adverts. Even our pay TV operator serves adverts. So we're used to it. It's like, yeah, it's part of what makes the world tick for us. So now to expect people to pay for content is tough, bearing in mind 60% of your population is unbanked, they're cash trading consumers. So you can't adopt some of the technologies that have been built for mature markets with a banked economy where people are very happy and used to paying for content and expect that to work in Africa. That doesn't mean don't do nothing. So for me, you know, we're sitting here and ZBC have been an incredible host already for this conference, but you got to get in the game. Your radio should be on digital. Your TV channels should be on a ZBC branded OTT platform. If you just keep pushing it to YouTube, you're never going to own the audience. You're never going to control the adverts that are served. You need to build that digital database that you can activate, that you can use for lead generation, that you can talk to, and you need to be able to carve up your content from linear to VOD, from live radio to podcast to sound bites, and absolutely continue to use all social media platforms to flirt and engage and market to your audience, but do your dating at home. So it's time for ZBC Plus. Let's get it up there. Let's get it out there. It must be free to the consumer to give them greater access to the wonderful content and the wonderful stories that we have on the continent of Africa.
Okay, I like the way you're saying broadcast still has a space that it has carved out for itself, but however, there's need to adapt. Let's talk convergence. If we're to look at the current setup of a lot of African broadcasters, they are heavily on the traditional side. What are some of the basic steps to adapting and being in the digital spaces that they need to start taking? As of, we're looking at 2025 is almost out, 2026.
So my first key point here is do your research. Okay, we've been talking about this for nearly 9 years that this conference has been going, and we've been talking about cord cutting. We've been talking about the impact of big players, Netflix, Amazon, the likes thereof, coming into the market, leveraging their domestic American content budgets and spend in huge markets. What that's done to the big players in the marketplace like MultiChoice and others. You are not about to walk a path that hasn't been walked before. So don't try and navigate it alone. Do your research. Find the partners. Decide what your model is. Because product follows strategy. And for me, when you're talking to a state broadcaster who is in the free-to-air space, has got a national interest on making sure content reaches the people, free is your space. So for me, if you're going into the digital world, it should be ad funded, and understand what that looks like and how you maximize that, not just for your local market, but also how you reach your diaspora around the world. Just think of how many Zimbos, Wenwis, Roadies, whatever you want to call us, are around the world. Lots, and they're hungry for news. They're hungry for home, and they want a taste of home, and that means your content also opens. If you unlock the worldwide audience, it opens up programmatic markets for advertising around the world. So, I guess my biggest message is, don't try and beat a path that others have walked before you. Others that will share, most importantly, not what to do or where to go.
It's powerful words that you just said right there. As we are concluding this, what can we look forward to in your own space? What is it that you work on, and what interesting projects can we look forward to? Because you have clearly called out to delegates here at Saba that something exciting is coming?
Yeah, look, for us, we want to build more OTT partnerships to enable state-owned broadcasters to take that digital step. We want to complement that with some of the other work that we're doing across AI. What does it mean for your business? How do you become more efficient? Who's it threatening? Who isn't it threatening? What do you do with those workforces where AI might be stepping in and people are worried about losing their jobs? How do you transfer that skills into other space in your business? And there's a lot that we can share with broadcasters in that space. To the transition, the digital transition doesn't just sit at the platform side. It sits in the broadcast space. We've been in a space now with a couple of years that we're building Africanized IP trucks to lower the cost of producing live content, which creates more ability for you to produce sport more cost effectively. And equally to enable independent journalists with tech who can do really professional interviews using a cell phone. So the need to send a truck out for them is not even a requirement anymore. So you've got to look at those workflows to become more optimal. Because the one thing that technology is doing is it is enabling the SMMEs.
Yes.
And they're keen and hungry, and they move quicker, they're more agile. And so that is also a threat to the bigger organizations who move slowly, are a little bit nervous or apprehensive of new technologies. And last but not least, where I believe there could be a significant change on the continent is bringing local sport back to the people.
Yeah.
I think there's an opportunity. Sport has the power to unite.
Yes.
And we've been working on some amazing projects, from user-generated content to sports-based to full-on professional tournaments. How you do that more cost-effectively to get more sport to the people.
Steve, it's been a wonderful conversation. I want to continue this discussion, but I'm going to say this because you've taught me basically what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to drive people to see some of our further engagements and content and discussions on our podcast platforms. Trying to see if we can also push into that digital space. So we will continue this conversation on a different podcast, but I want you to be able to share those insights with us, not just for Zimbabwe, but the whole of Africa and the rest of the world. But thank you so much, Steve, for coming through.
Thank you. It was a great pleasure to be on your show, and I look forward to talking further.
So what's your favorite Zimbabwean word? Shona word. Let's see.
Now you're throwing me under the bus. Now you're throwing me under the bus.
Not to worry. We will say it off camera, but for now, goodbye.
No, I only remember all the naughty words. I can't say them on air. Innocent told me all the dirty stuff.
Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation and the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, convened by Broadcast Media Africa and the Southern African Broadcasting Association, SABA. Broadcasters Convention Southern Africa 2025, hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation.
Go to our partner here, SES, Menen, your partners. We take it to their satellites some 35,000 kilometers away, the geosatellites, bring it back to the communities, whether you want to listen to radio, go back to our towers, go back to houses. Here we've got DTH, we've got Free Vision, that is our platform, streaming platform that we have. So this is our traditional content distribution in terms of connectivity. And then what's happening now? You find that you saw those brands. You've got Netflix, you've got all those DSTV and so on. Now you have the content owners, the traditional way. They come, the broadcasters and other intermediaries. They give Centec the content. We do all this nice terminology, encoding, transcoding, multiplexing, modulation, distribution, encryptions, and then go and take it to non-connected TV. But now the world is, things have changed now. We have the OTT, internet television service providers. They bypass Centec because they've got a broadband that goes straight to connected TV, computers, and so. So that is why as Centec we're trying to catch up We are building platforms that are digital. With our free vision play, we have onboarded some of you here for free. You remember Stephen said we should not charge for this OTT, so we've already done that. But we need to get what is the value from this thing. So that is free vision. You can download it from Apple Store, and so that if you are a broadcaster and you want to get into our platforms for free, then you can download it. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, as we wrap up, so what I was talking about is that as broadcasters, as players in this media field, you need to have the right AI strategy, which start, as I emphasize, data, right use cases, infrastructure and technology, developing your data strategy. We are busy developing our data strategy as Centec. We are at the process of doing our AI strategy. And just for example, and say, how do we use AI in Centec? We have developed what we call predictive analytics, where it's related to our towers. We do towers. And for our maintenance, it's able to predict the time that we need to do our towers and other sentimental analysis. So that is the process that we've been going on. And as I said, choose the right use cases, invest or collaborating on platforms that enable development of intelligent applications and connectivity. So ladies and gentlemen, I just want to conclude, MCIC, still have 2 minutes, just to conclude with something that is media related. Don't you like it?
As we begin to finish.
As I finish, I want to finish with something. I never introduced myself as me as a chief strategist, but I want to share you with this, my other part of me, which is being an author and a poet.
Nice
So listen to this. The past has passed with its passes and failures, and left us with lessons. Lessons if you want to learn. Take heed of the voice of today, for today is the day, don't delay. Today is the day, don't delay. Forget not, you are what you pay. You are what you think. You are shaped by what you drink. Today is the day, don't delay. Thank you.
Definitely, digital transformation is the future. Let's give him one more round of applause for that amazing poetry. Where's Napster? The arts, all inclusive. The future is now, ladies and gentlemen. The future is the next generation, across borders, across agendas. Today we have talked about it all. AI is the future. Somebody said AI is an equalizer. Today we amplify, we collaborate, and protect our future as Africa. And as we begin to finish, I think our session ends right now because the drinks await us. And for those panel discussions that we have not come to, I was actually looking forward to following the money. It's something that I'm really into. Definitely, we were supposed to be talking about following the money, platforms, partnerships, and new revenue models. We were also meant to be talking about strengthening regional cooperation and strategizing AI for the future. But unfortunately, the drinks will not wait for us. 6:30 is the time.
Confirmed. So what happened is there are a few of you who were very keen on the drinks. They came and they bribed the MCs. We are human. The good thing is we are not AI. So we took the bribe, and our conveners have asked us to let you know that we'll continue tomorrow with the panel discussions that we're supposed to have today. So we're going to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, at this point to be escorted by our ushers. We are going to the Boma Our dinner will not wait. We have to be there between 6:30 and 7:30. So we are all going to be escorted by our ushers to our relevant vehicles, and we'll be taken to the Boma. We'll enjoy our dinner, and I'm sure the drinks that Itumeleng said is sponsoring, he will also make them part of the meal.
Centec proudly sponsors the drinks tonight.
They are sponsoring the drinks tonight. You cannot get out of it, Itumeleng. Let us take this time, me and my fellow host, to thank all the speakers that we had today, to thank all the panelists that we had today, and to thank all of you for participating, for being here, for being interested, and for learning along with all the broadcasters. We are going to ask our dignitaries to lead the way, and we are going to ask the ushering team to help us to get into the vehicles while the rest of us gather our things. And then we can also follow suit and go to the Boma and to the respective places that we're expected to be. Do we still have our DJ? I think we need something to play us out.
Experience the majesty of Africa at the Broadcasters Convention, Southern Africa 2025, proudly hosted by the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation, ZBC, and the Southern Africa Broadcasting Association, SABA. Set against the breathtaking backdrop of Victoria Falls, one of the world's 7 natural wonders, this year's convention invites you to a place where the mighty Zambezi River plunges into a deep chasm, creating a spectacular curtain of water that captivates all who behold it. The locals call it Mosia Tunya, the smoke that thunders. This awe-inspiring setting provides the perfect stage for broadcasters from across Africa to gather, share insights, and explore the innovations shaping the future of media under the theme Content, Connectivity, Collaboration, Transforming Africa's Broadcast Media Landscape in the AI Era. Join us as ZBC welcomes you to Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe for the Broadcasters Convention, Southern Africa 2025. Feel free, feel at home, you're home away from home. ZBC, proud host of the 2025 SABA Conference.